Welcome to this week's edition of Focus on Connecticut. I'm Tom Appleby, and with this week we begin our annual legislative forums in which we invite our area lawmakers to come in advance of the new session and tell us what they're thinking about, what they expect to be addressing.
Well, the governor said that this session is going to be the education session, and being at the workshop last week, I think it reaffirmed what we already know. A lot of it, and being on the education committee, we brought up a lot of these past things, addressing teacher tenure, teacher evaluation process, whole host of things, training teachers. And one of the things I thought was new or interesting is I attended one of the workshops, and a principal from a high school said that young people showing up at his school who went through the teacher program at the colleges were really unprepared, and that they were just amazed of how unprepared they really were. And they thought young people would have so much more technological advancement. These young people would show up and know all these different tech things, and that they didn't. One out of the entire group knew how to use a smart board. A lot of them didn't know how to use a lot of the new applications that are being used in the classroom today. So this principal talked about how that he met with the deans from these colleges and said, we need to change the way you're teaching these young people. The internships that they participate in need to be more hands-on, not just being in sort of a secretary's office filing papers, but actually being in the classroom, understanding how to manage a class and working with students and what different types of students or different classes of students or different economic areas, how they need to be taught. So I'm hoping that we address and get into that a little bit more, because that's not something we really looked too deeply at last session. And also, I thought it was interesting during the workshop how they spoke about how it's very important not only good teachers are, but good leaders, good principals, good administrators, because you can have a whole building filled with awesome teachers, but if you have a substandard or somebody who's not interested principal and not really leading the group, the whole school suffers. So I'm engaged to look into those matters. We looked into a lot of them the last session, but there's so much controversy on these issues. The unions and their wants and needs, but I was encouraged to see CEA came out just a few days or 4 days ago with a letter saying that they're more open-minded about looking at the teacher evaluation and the tenure process. So I think we're going to have a good session. With the ECS funding, though, there's some simple things that could have been changed over the years that have been identified, such as we're counting in colleges in certain communities as a student population. So that town, if it has a college there, they're counting those people, those students, into the ECS formula. Obviously, they have nothing to do with it. Right. They're actually counting prison populations. So if you have a prison in your town, those prisoners are being counted and you're getting money based on that population. That's something we've known all along that we could have changed early on. And like Jonathan was saying, there are different components to an evaluation. It shouldn't just be about test scores, because two teachers can start off with 2 classes, and one class can already be at 80%, and the other class could be at 50%. So at the end of the year, if the class that had 80% only went up 10, but the class that had 50% scores went up 30, 40%, who's the better teacher? Who's doing a more effective job teaching? So there has to be a different way of looking. Yes, test scores have some, we need to look at data to see, but we need to look at the beginning and the end, and also how are they actually learning. So there's a whole host of it. The encouraging part of it was that the unions are actually interested in this evaluation, whereas last session, they were very, stubborn about wanting to even talk or even have an open dialogue about it. So to me, I think it's very encouraging that we're going to be at least having both sides or all sides come together to work on it